Good day everyone. Welcome back to our lecturing session for this week for the course PAD370 Introduction to Public Financial Administration. I hope that all of you have gained enough understanding on the preliminary information of Public Financial Administration or PFA. So, we have learned some fundamental knowledge in the previous week, such as the definition of PFA itself, based on several scholars, Fox and Meyer, Groenewegen, to name a few, certain eligible concepts and its meaning in general. Besides that, we have also looked through PFA's scope and components, as well as its objectives and also importance. Not to forget, we also touch on the differences or distinction of PFA and private financial administration. Topic 1 is actually a trailer, of the whole thing that you will learn for the whole semester. As I mentioned all of this back, I hope that it would give you a flashback of everything. Now, let's move on to more in-depth understanding of one of PFA's components, which is budgeting or public budget. Okay class, as usual, before we proceed to our lesson, I will expose to you the syllabus content of chapter 2 first. Okay, these are the points. So in chapter 2, we are going to learn about the definition, of course, definition of public budget. And then 2.2, we are going to look at the purposes or the roles of public budget, followed by characteristics of budget, the principles of budgeting, and next, component of public budget. Budgeting system in Malaysia is also included in chapter 2, but then we will only touch on 2.6 next week. Okay? If you guys still remember, I have always emphasized on the importance of getting to familiarize yourself with any terms or concepts related to the study topic. So, in the second topic of this course, we are going to extract more on what is the meaning of public budget or budgeting. If possible, you may need to memorize these definitions, especially made by CIMA and NIA. You will get to know these two shortly. Public budget can be defined based on two important institutes and some well-known scholars. Okay, let's take a look at the definition. Alright, based on two institutes. The first one is Chartered Institute of Management Accountants or CIMA. This was the one that I have been mentioned earlier on. So what is public budget? Public budget is a quantitative statement for a defined period of time, which may include planned revenues, assets, liabilities, and also cash flows. Alright, the next one, according to Australian National Institute of Accountant or NIA, a budget is a comprehensive plan in writing, stated in monetary terms, that outline the expected financial consequences of management's plans and strategies for accomplishing the organization's mission for the coming period. Now let's take a look at the definition made by scholars. Okay, definition by Hilton, 2009. Budget is a detailed plan expressed in quantitative terms that specify how resources will be acquired and used during a specific period of time. A statement containing a forecast revenue and expenditures for a period of time. This is from Lerner, 1984. Next one, Otto Eckstein, 1974. Public budget is a detailed statement of a government's expected expenditures and also revenues. Right, last but not least, by Negro and Negro, 1970. Public budget is a financial planning that includes revenue and expenditure that have been framed and interpreted to achieve a goal of a specified purpose. Oh yeah, we have another one from Shapiro, 2001. So, public budget asserts that is not solely a document that outlines government expenditure and revenue, but more importantly, it's a manifestation and intricate budget decision-making process and a country system for managing and assessing its spending and tax policies. So in general, it refers to a statement of revenue and expenditure of government for the future. It is also a planning and management tool used for national economic purposes. Whatever the explanation is, always remember, guys, that budgeting involves two very important criteria, which are the revenue or income, or in Malay, pendapatan, and also expenditure, in Malay, perbelanjaan. Next one, roles of public budget. Roles means a function assumed or part played by a thing in a particular situation. So what are the roles or functions of public budget? Let's see. Alright, there are 6 main purposes or roles of public budget. The first one is as a method of implementing government's policies. And then next one, number 2, as a method of legal controlling and monitoring. Number 3, sources of information for the public. Number 4, fiscal policy instrument. Number 5, economic stability. And number 6, agency management instrument. Right. Let's take a look at the first point, which is as a method of implementing government's policies. Okay, here we go. Budget allocation are meant for policy implementation through various activities, programs, projects, etc. to achieve specific target or objectives for the country's development. So, in example, can you read it? You are aware, right, that budgeting involves allocation of certain amount of money for the implementation of government's policies or goals. Alright, in example, based on 2020 budget, Malaysian government has come up with 5 set goals that may help in enhancing the economy of the country. So the first goal related to driving economic growth in the new economy and digital era. Second goal related to investing in Malaysians, leveling up human capital. The third one, creating a united, inclusive, and also equitable society. And then the fourth one is revitalization of public institutions and finances. You can refer to 2020 budget document for these 4 set goals. Hence, taking the first goal as an example, as you can see here, 1.1 billion ringgit is allocated in 2020 budget to support projects for corridor development activities in conjunction with the first set goal that I have mentioned early on, which is to drive the economic growth in the new economy and digital era. So the activities involved are 50 million ringgit for the development of Chuping Valley Industrial Area in Perlis by NCIA, 69.5 million ringgit for the Kuantan Port related projects by ECERDC, 42 million ringgit for the construction of Sungai Seget Centralized Sewerage Treatment Plant in Johor by IRDA, 55 million ringgit for infrastructure in the Samalaju Industrial Park in Sarawak by Rikoda, and also 20 million ringgit for the Sabah Agro Industrial Precinct by Sedia. So if you can see here, it covers the peninsular area, Sabah, and also Sarawak. Okay, next one, the second row, it is public budget also play a role in becoming a method for legal controlling and also monitoring. It's very straightforward, Spending will not exceed the revenue, controlling the ministries or department activities, and also performance evaluation instrument. Same goes to point number 3, it's very straightforward as well. As sources of information for public, It monitors the government revenues and spending or activities and programs. Budget allocation information to be analyzed by public in assessing the government efficiencies. Next one. Okay, the fourth one, fiscal policy instrument. Okay, next, public budget also plays a role in becoming the instrument for the country's fiscal policy. So actually, what is fiscal policy, class? Fiscal policy refers to the use of government revenue collection, such as taxes or tax cuts, and expenditure or spending to influence a country's economy. The fiscal policy is based on the theories of the British economist John Maynard Keynes, whose Keynesian economics theorized that government changes in the levels of taxation and government spending influences aggregate demand and the level of economic activity. Fiscal and monetary policy are the key strategies used by a country's government and central bank to advance its economic objectives. In the context of our country, fiscal policy instrument refers to government adjustment on its level of spending in order to achieve the development and stabilization of the nation's economy. So according to Starling 1982, the effect of taxation and spending measures on the economy at least three broad functions. First one, allocation, provisions of goods and service, distribution, adjustment to the distribution of income and wealth in society, stabilization, efforts to maintain an appropriate rate of economic growth. And the fifth one, as economic stability, to stabilize economic through price control, reduction of unemployment and provide economic development. The sixth role of public budget is also as agency management instrument. So what are the points under this role? The first one is the financial resource management instrument. Budget contains information about objectives, selected programs, activities, and projects. Consist allocation provided for every programs and projects to be implemented. The information can be used as a guideline to manage every agencies. Number two, document to control expenditure and finance. Because budget consists of any provision to execute planned activities for any governmental agencies, those information in the budget help managers to control cost, control usage of funds, ensure all expenses are following the approved budget. Next one, number three, an instrument to measure performance, done through reports and feedback prepared according to budget prepared. The effectiveness of budget usage and objectives achievement can be measured. Next one, accountability instrument. All government officers are accountable for their actions. Next one, a policy statement instrument. A budget is a reflection of government policy currently in power. And then, last but not least, a government business statement. It contains all government matters and it has been presented in Parliament before 31st of December every year. Next one, we are going to see the characteristics of public budget. Okay, so what do you understand about characteristic? Characteristic is a feature or quality belonging typically to a person, place, or thing and serving to identify them. In terms of public budget, it has four characteristics of features that represent public budget. All of these features are very straightforward. So these are the four characteristics of budgeting, yeah guys. The first one, it is financial planning for an organization to efficiently utilize the limited resources. Demand is higher than supply. Second one, it has forecasted revenue and expenditure. A forecast of expected revenue and expenditure or government. Of here. Of government. Right? The third one, formulated to achieve specific purposes. It has specific objectives to achieve, such reducing poverty and increasing agricultural productivity. And then the fourth one, it has specific duration. The budget has a specific time frame, such as 1 year. In Malaysia, the budget effective from 2nd January to 31st of December. So these are very straightforward, yeah? As a planning for an organization, forecasted revenue and expenditure, to achieve specific purposes. Of course, everything has purpose, yeah? And it has specific duration, period of time. Don't forget that. These four characteristics are very important in budgeting. Okay, next one, principles of public budget. Principle is defined as a fundamental truth or proposition that serves as the foundation for a system of belief or behavior or for a chain of reasoning. In other words, principle is a set of rules or law for something. There are 5 main principles of public budgeting. The first one is annuality or yearly. Budgeting must be done within a specified period of time. An example, annually. In Malaysia, follow calendar year is from January to December, known as the fiscal year. Budget must be in accordance with any long-term government plan, in example, in 5-year plan. And then the second one, accuracy. It must be easily understood and accurate in terms of figure or numbering, yeah. A budget must be in terms of gross value and not net value. The third one, comprehensive. It includes all the government activities. Number 4, specificity. Budget should give priority for those most important budget. Must specify why the budget is important. And also the fifth one, prior authorization. Responsibility to determine what and how much needs to be spent depends on the executive body.
The budget speech, that annual address packed full of numbers and financial jargon, so confusing it might as well be in another language. It's hard to get excited about it, but it affects you and your finances, so it's important to be able to make some sense of it. It's also your right and duty as a taxpayer, voter, and citizen to know how your money is being spent. So, here's a simplified version. The budget speech basically comprises 2 parts, where our country's money comes from, often referred to as the income section, and where it goes, otherwise known as the expenses section. The income section deals with things like income tax, sin tax, capital gains tax, corporate tax, and VAT. We all know that tax is a charge imposed by the government on certain products, income, and even services. But why do we have to pay it? Well, in order for the government to get money to pay for all those essential things our country needs, such as better roads and housing, it needs an income, just like you and I do. And that income comes from the money the government raises from these taxes. Now, where does that money go? In the expenses section of the budget speech, the money the government expects to raise from taxes is divided up amongst all the government sectors like education, employment, and policing. As part of the budget speech, the finance minister may also talk about some of the benefits, such as healthcare or pensions. This then fits into the expenses section, and how it will be funded falls into the income section. So it's quite simple really. Just as you have to prioritize, save, and budget to make sure you have enough money to run your household, the government has to prioritize, save, and budget to look after our country and its people. The big question now is, how does it affect you? Whatever is said in the budget speech will determine how much money you have left in your pocket at the end of each month. The amount of tax raised by the government and the way it's distributed to each department will also affect the services the government provides you with. All these things can have an impact on how you live your life, and understanding them will help you plan better for your financial future, whether you're going to have to save more, invest more, or even be able to spend more. There you have it. There's no reason the budget speech should leave you lost for words. Keep an eye out for Sanlam's budget speech commentary and text calculator, because it's important to us that you have a clear understanding of your financial situation.
Well, class, you have been exposed to 6 main components of PFA last week, which are the budgeting, taxation, procurement or supply, accounting, auditing, and last but not least, treasury. So, all of you are aware that components are the ways or tools for the government to manage its financial administration. In budgeting context, there are 2 main components or tools that are used to implement budgeting system in Malaysia. Okay, let's take a look at the system. Okay, there are 2 components of budget. The first one is national revenue and the second one is national expenditure. There are 3 sub-components under national revenue, which is the first one is federal revenue, second one is state revenue, followed by local government revenue. Meanwhile, for national expenditure, there are 2 sub-components. The first one is operational or management expenditure, followed by development expenditure. Let's take a look at national revenue first. So there are 3 sub-components under national revenue. For federal revenue, tax is under it, direct tax, income tax, stamp duty, and act. And indirect tax, such as import and export duty, excise duty, so on and forth. Non-tax, such as license, registration fees, permits, asset sales, rental, and act. Other receipt, unclaimed monies, sales, and act. And then last but not least, federal territories, such as in Labuan and Putrajaya. Next one, state revenue. In part 3, the 10th schedule of Federal Constitution, which is FC, toady shops, lands, mines and forests, entertainment duty, fees from court, fees and receipts, fines, zakat fitrah, rental, and many more. And then next one, part 4, in the 10th schedule of FC, import and excise duty on petroleum products, export duty on timber and other forest produce, water supplies and services. And the next one, under local government revenue, in section 39, part 5 of Local Government Act, all taxes, rates, rent, license fees, charges on trade, services and investment. Next one, under national expenditure, there are only 2 subcomponents. First one is operational or management expenditure, and then inside operational expenditure are, first one, emolument. Emolument consists of salary, allowance, overtime, financial benefits, and annual remuneration, followed by supplies and services, which includes travel, subsistence expenses, rental, maintenance, communication, and utility. Acquisition of assets, such as land, vehicles, and machinery, loans, investment, and building. Grants and fixed charges, such as scholarship, pension, leave replacement, and insurance. Others such as refunds, write-off, and fees. And then the last one, development expenditure, include economic services, social services, and also security. We are going to continue with the second part of the topic, which is the budgeting system in Malaysia, next week. Till then, good luck and all the best.